This build serves for two purposes. First, to fix my trailer that was hit in a boat lot when I was out on the river, and to make it easier for me to store my jet ski under my house. This can also be used for winter storage in a garage to save space where you do not have enough room for a full trailer. Your design may be a little different from mine, but for me to accomplish this, I bought two 4x6x8s for the base, two 4x4s for the vertical posts, two 2x4s for the rails, four heavy-duty casters, 6 feet of outdoor mat material, two tubes of clear quad, and the appropriate bolts and fasteners. All of the wood used was treated to hold up to the environment in my area. I started by cutting the 4x6s into two 5-foot pieces and two 3-foot pieces. With a scrap piece, I laid out where I was going to cut for the overlaps. I measured halfway down, or 1 3/4 inches, so that the base will overlap evenly. I then used my circular saw to cut into smaller pieces and used a chisel to smooth it out. Once all the pieces were cut, I laid them on the ground and measured from corner to corner to ensure that it was square. Both sides measured 70 inches. I then got my wheels and marked the mounting holes, which will also be the bolts that hold the base together. I used carriage bolts for this part to make it a smooth surface on top. If I did it again, I would probably use standard bolt so that I had something to grab onto. The treated wood was really wet and soft, so I had some issues initially. Once the wood dries and shrinks, it won't be an issue. I had to buy a longer drill bit because the distance that I had to go through on the 4x6s was larger than any drill bit that I actually had. This is something to consider when planning your design. I ended up buying everything from Lowe's because it was close to my house. The washers were part number 63308, the locking nuts were part number 63405, and the bolts were part number 69521. For the top rails, I had to match the angle at the bottom of my jet ski. All I did was held a scrap piece to the back of the jet ski and traced the angle. Then I went to the saw and determined what angle it actually was. For this next part, you need to do a little math to determine how long to make your legs. I wanted my cart to be the exact same height as my trailer so my jet ski is easy to slide off and on. For mine, the legs needed to be 16 inches from the bottom of the base up to the highest angled point. I cut 6 even pieces for the supports. I then cut a 3.5-inch notch so that it can help support some of the weight on the base, and I will not just rely on the bolts. I don't remember exactly, but I believe I used 3.5-inch bolts for this. The two rails were cut at 49 inches, and then I wrapped them with the outdoor carpet. I got the rubber-backed material to help prevent any water from deteriorating the wood and the carpet. I started the material on the 2x4 in the middle of the long side. Using my staple gun, I put a considerable amount of staples to hold it in place. I then used quad on all sides of the 2x4 to secure the carpet to the wood. An easy way to get a nice overlap cut is to use a scrap 2x4 as a straight edge and then use a blade to cut it. Once it was all folded over and stapled into place, I ran a line of quad down the seams. This doesn't really need to look super nice because it will be facing down and no one will ever see it. I used 3-inch deck screws to secure the rails to the vertical supports. For extra support, I added a cross brace front and rear, to ensure that the rails will be sturdy and won't push out. I added 2 eye bolts so that I can strap my cart to my trailer when I'm pulling my jet ski off or on. This will ensure that the cart does not roll away. Getting the jet ski back on the trailer is an easy task. All I have to do is hook the strap onto it and crank it. It gets a little more difficult the further up you go, so I would recommend wetting the rails as you slide it up. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below or send me a DM on my Instagram. Thanks again.